Time management. This topic seems to be like a very big topic for many persons because it's on productivity. And if you don't have the best output, definitely what are you doing? It's a very important topic that I feel we should drive on to because it's going to save you a lot of time and help you to get your life and your things right. And yeah, you should get your life and your things right because if you don't get your time right, whatever thing that you hope to do might be failing already, maybe very late or just ineffective. So you want to be able to get your time, and that in itself will change everything for you. Especially for people that are into business, you are sure that the pivotal move of your business is what you do with your time, how effective you can be able to leverage your time with your resources you have. Those two things coming together provides you a very valuable business. And so, if you can do the best things in the shortest of time, definitely going to have a very great business. Time seems to be a very brilliant factor. I think some persons would define time as money, and some persons also define time as life, which I feel all are both correct. Because if you look at it carefully, if we use our time in the right way, in a good way, in a brilliant way, then we can be able to make more money. And people that use time effectively do make good money. People that use time effectively also have a good life. Because when you start prioritizing your time, you start prioritizing your life. When you start choosing your time carefully, you start choosing your life carefully. You start deciding how your life is going to be spent, the things that are going to engage you give your time to, give your attention to, and how your days here on earth would be. And so putting attention into the time game is a very important thing because if you have it right and you have it well structured out, then this saves you in the long run. It saves you completely. It changes everything for you. You can be able to have the life that you truly desire and want. And so that creates peace, joy, happiness, and makes every day worthwhile and worth living. And so if you can fix this, then you won't even have the problem of procrastination, right? Because you've already won with those things. But before we even get into the conversation, I really want to underline something very important, which I feel is a very important principle when you talk about things like this. One of the things I do in everything I do is to always bring whatever thing I'm doing into the context of purpose. And I ask myself a question which is called why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because if I don't get clarity and understanding on why this thing is, then it doesn't get solved. We would always go around trying to solve a problem to no result if we don't understand why that thing exists. I had a call recently with someone and she was having a challenge of not staying consistent and not doing what she wanted to do. And I was like, okay, what is consistency to you and why do you think that you're not doing this? And she had to explain certain things for me. They give her instructions to do a particular job, but then when she eventually goes on to do that job and comes back, she gets something completely different based on what is required of her. I was like, okay, that's a thing. And why that is happening is because I feel you don't understand the instruction that has been given to you. And so if you understand the instruction properly, I don't mean you understand what was said, but you understand what is required of you, then you'll be able to do a very good job. And understanding it means having proper details about everything that needs to be known about this course or about this thing. And when you understand this thing fully, then it becomes possible for you to be able to engage on that stuff and get the right result. Because if there is a detail that is necessary for you to understand to solve that problem and you don't have that detail, then you'll be stuck or you would get a different outcome. So understanding the problem effectively allows us to solve the problem effectively. Not understand the problem effectively allows us to solve the problem not effectively. So if we are designing a particular outcome, then we must be able to walk within the ranks of the route that leads to that outcome. I was able to clarify that for her, and she was like, "Oh, that's true." While having the conversation, she now realized that, "Oh, this is really true. This is what I've been thinking. This is how I've been working. This is how I've been acting." And now I realize how I've been making this mistake. And that was just it. That was just the solution that she needed to be able to fix her stuff. It means that the why game is very important in solving all of these problems. Whatever kind of problem you have in life, if you always find yourself back to the roots, to the root cause, to the reason why that thing exists, then I believe you'd always find the solution to be able to fix those problems and those issues. I want to solve this challenge of time management with purpose. I think is the best way we can do it, or the best way we should do it. And that helps us to be able to navigate through many other things that may be like a suggestion or prescription towards dealing with time issues. First of all, let's look at it from a negative standpoint as to what really motivates us to do other things or other activities. If you have to say that question, you realize that, okay, because you wanted to please somebody, or because you wanted to get somebody's attention, or because maybe there seemed to be something that you, in default state, count important and essential more than what you really feel that you should be doing. It means that your time allocation is towards certain things that you have perceived important. So not just that you've perceived that those important, you've perceived them important more than what is truly important, or what is really truly important to you. The solution or getting forward with those things would be that you truly understand what you really want to have for your life, or what you really want to do for yourself to be able to get results. Example is this now. Maybe you want to have first class. It looks like a cool thing to you, but then you also want to have to watch good movies, and you just want to have fun, just chill. You know that with these two things, something has to go right. But then you find yourself still watching more movies. It means that you give more importance to movies. And maybe why that is because every time you watch a movie, you just feel relaxed, and you feel cool, you feel happy, and it may look like a cool activity every single time, but when it comes to distinguishing yourself and setting yourself apart, you know that, okay, that is not it. You're way, 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 way behind. And so the clarity here for you is to know that, okay, if I've been paying attention to movies and watching movies, why am I drawn to that? And what does this benefit me eventually? So if you understand the question of why in doing that action, you realize that, oh, I'm wasting my time doing this because in the long run, this does not serve me very much as I really want to. Then you now ask yourself the question about the positive thing, which is, okay, I want to be able to make first class, and I want to be able to get good grades, and I know that this is important to me, and it's important to me because I want to have a great life. I want to be able to have a good job. I want to be able to be proud to stand for my children and tell them that, okay, I went to school and I did this and I came out with a good grade. So that's something I feel I should be extended with, and possibly if to inculcate a good values with my children and tell them that I'm not just telling them things, but I have done what I am saying. I should be able to have that result, and possibly not just to my children, but in the community and society at large. I believe I'm going to be standing out in the future as a public speaker or something, and I'll be explaining to people and telling people different things about life. And if I can have the solutions, if I can have this results for myself right now, then why not? They should also have it for themselves because I was able to arrive at that. And so this becomes a framework or a determinant for which somebody can take action and say, okay, this is truly important. So the problem for us is that we don't necessarily understand the reason why we're doing what we're doing. If we understand the reason why we're doing what we're doing, then it gives us proper guidance or counsel of how to go about acting. When we truly understand the purpose of a thing in itself becomes a driver of action. When we fully understand the weight of a thing in itself, it becomes a driver of action. So you don't need so much motivation when you know that if I pick a knife and use it on your leg and stab you on your leg, you exactly know in your mind that, oh, this thing is dangerous. My leg is going to get damaged. I don't want that. So nobody tells you to shoot your leg or run away from that because you know that, well, this is evil and it's going to destroy me. You know the consequence that this is going to bring to you, and so you do not get to engage with it. And so the same thing with the good things and the bad things. This action you're taking, why are you taking it, and what outcome does it bring to you? Is it necessarily relevant to your life? If it's not, then you're putting it aside. Then the other action, if I'm doing this, what do I benefit from this, and what are the consequences of doing this particular thing? And I'm not talking about the shallow place of understanding these things. There are deeper frameworks of looking at it when you understand the why in maybe about at least five levels, five deeper levels. So you ask yourself the why question on five deeper levels. Why do you want to do this? And you get your first why question, still ask why on that answer. I want to be able to just have first class. Okay, why do you want to have first class? I feel like if I have first class, I would be able to have a good job. Why do you want to have a good job? So I can have a good family and be able to take care of my people in my home and possibly take care of the people in my community. Okay, why do you want to have that? Why is that important to you? Because I feel that life should not engage in so much suffering. And if We've already struggled this much so far in our lives. We shouldn't get to struggle this much anymore. And I feel like that is going to help us to get off that level, that place. I don't think I want anything poverty in my life. Okay. So why is that important to you? Because I want to be happy. And I don't think poverty allows you to stay happy or joyful. And even if you want to be able to establish some certain level of happiness with poverty, it always brings pain and a lot of distraction. And so I feel this is going to help me to be able to get to my desired outcome. So these are different levels of why the why question being answered, and that opens our minds to the possibility that okay, this is really important to me. The more you get to ask those questions and get deeper into the frameworks of why this thing is important, opens your mind to oh wow, this is what I've been missing before. I did not understand this as much as I do now. And so you have all of those frameworks and all of those pillars that guides your mind, that guides your thoughts, that guides your counsel. Your mind now has a holistic view of what you truly want and what you truly desire. And so it's effective and it's easy to be able to arrive at your outcome or get the result that you're looking out for. This is a very, very strong way and means to be able to arrive at a very good motivation that beats with time. Now let's bring it into the time game fully so you have a very good concept of how this works with time. So if you are struggling with your time, it means that you have the wrong focus. Wrong focus as to you want a thing, but you're doing something else. You want an outcome, but you're doing something else. You want a possibility, but you're doing something else. And so there is a disalignment with your goal. There's a disalignment with your purpose. There's a disalignment with what you're looking out for. And so the first thing to do is to recognize what is your goal, what is your purpose, what are you disaligned from? Because you actually now know that this thing is not what I'm looking for. This thing is not giving me joy. It's not giving me happiness. It's not giving me whatever thing I'm looking for. And so you want to sit down to ask yourself, what am I looking for? Why am I trying to fix my time? So when you sit down, you ask those questions. You begin to realize, okay, this is what I'm looking out for my life, and this is what I'm hoping to achieve, and all of those things. And so when you have clear understanding of what you truly want for your life, it's now easy. So why do you want those things? You now start giving yourself like the five frameworks I've asked. And that opens your mind to okay, these things are really important and essential. And so you now build a proximity game to come close to those things. I say, okay, if these are the core reasons why I want to arrive at having to give my time to certain things, okay, this is what I'm going to take action on because I've seen how important this is. And another side of it is that you have to be clear about the things that you really think are important, what you feel like are very essential to you, because there can be a 1001 word of the things that you feel like you want to get. But the truth about life is you can't do everything. You can only do very few things. And those few things that you can do, you'd be wise enough to put your attention and time to those few things and get the result that you're looking out for. And so you are asking yourself, what is that comprehensive thing I feel like if I arrive at that thing, I have made life beautiful. I have made life necessarily make sense. You pinpoint that thing, and that becomes the main figure for which you give your time to things. And then every time you want to take action, you measure the value of the things that you're doing or the relevance of the things that you're doing as regards your goal. And that becomes easy for you to take action. People that are very conscious about their time is not because they don't have other things that they push away or they dismiss. They do. There are many things that are even in their calendar that seems to be like important things, but they are not core important things. They're not as important as what they give their time to. They feel like there are certain things in their lives that requires most of their time at the moment, and those things are what we call priority. They are very important and they shouldn't be tampered with, they shouldn't be played with, they shouldn't be ignored. And because those things shouldn't be ignored, they put their attention to it, hoping that this was going to bring the best outcome. And many times, yeah, it does, because if you look at it, people that become very conscious and careful as their time, many times they get to become successful. They start becoming very conscious about those things, and over and over and over and over and over again, it brings out the result that they're looking out for. And so this is a framework you can actually use for yourself to actually check up if your time management is in the right fix or in the right order. If you're struggling with time management, if you feel like you're procrastinating, procrastination is not the problem. What the problem is your focus or your alignment with your goals. Maybe number one is that you're not clear about your goals, you're not clear about your values, you're not clear about what you really intend for your life. If basically you can just say that this is my value, every time I go for places, I want to be represented as an excellent person, I want to be represented as one that keeps time and don't come late. Just basically saying that changes everything for you because you want to express from that standpoint of saying that, okay, this is my value, this is what I represent, and I want to act in this format. And so every time you are thinking about taking action, thinking about this value that you've said that you want to represent, and the only way to be able to express this value is to be the value by saying that this is my value, by embodying that value and accepting it as your own, and then you can then act from that place. When you're acting from that place, it makes everything simple and easy because you're not trying to become, you're already expressing. And so you ooze out certain actions that portrays that you have embraced this value and this value is yours and you are in this value. It becomes easy for you to be able to act. So someone that believes that he's an excellent person would want to do his work effectively and not necessarily need any motivation from any other person outside them around his environment to be able to influence his engagement on his work. Somebody that wants to be faithful will not allow anything around his environment to break that faithfulness towards whatever thing that he has chosen to be faithful to. Somebody that wants to be of integrity will not allow anything, whether within his environment and outside his environment, to break or sabotage his integrity. And so if there are things that may call to his attention that may really demand that he breaks his integrity, he wouldn't want to do those things because he has chosen to stand by certain values. And those values are basically tied to the whys of whatever he desires or feels like he wants to achieve. If you act in this rank, it's easier to actually get the result you're looking out for. And you don't necessarily need to suffer or struggle to actually take actions on those things. This turns everything around for you and for any person that is struggling with time management and wants to get more things done in less time. It's basically saying that I have a priority. I know what is valuable for my life. I know what's valuable for me. I know what is important to me. I know what I am pursuing in life. I know what I'm looking out for in life. And these are the actions that is necessary for me to be able to act and get to the outcome that I'm looking out for. And because these actions are the important actions that I need to take, I'm going to put my time, I'm going to put my attention, I'm going to put my resources, I'm going to put my money, I'm going to put everything that I have to be able to arrive at this outcome. And anything that does not really relate or they're not in alignment with this thing I'm looking out for, I am not going to do it. And this becomes a framework that saves you from doing any shitty things with your time. So I believe you've been able to learn and understand how the time game works. And if you can apply this into your life, I'm too sure and I'm very, very clear that it's going to turn your time management issues overnight. You don't even need to try to read a book or practice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. No, just basically aligning your goals with your values and with your actions. You are certainly free and you're certainly good. Thank you very much for watching. You can look out for the channel. There's several other beautiful and amazing stuff that have been crafted for you to be able to enjoy, and have a great day.